Hello, this is Vaishali and I'm reading from the book Spirit of Homeopathy, book written by Dr. Rajan Sankaran. Mind section and the third part of the component. Cilicia is concerned with the image. This is the heading. Cilicia is concerned with the image. Cilicia looks like a lycopodium because it also has a lack of self-confidence. But in Cilicia, it is not whether he is capable of doing the action that bother him, but it is his image that must be protected at all cost. So anything that threatens the image, the rigid image of Cilicia, is going to cause anticipatory anxiety. The feeling is, I am going to do well, and if I fail, what will other think about me? What will their impression of me be? My image will be spoiled. That is why Cilicia is very bashful, shy, and nervous, especially before meeting people or before appearing on the stage in the public. This is the difference between the lycopodium and Cilicia. Cilicia is afraid to appear on the stage and lycopodium is afraid to speak. Whether I go on stage, I get very self-conscious, I get scared and I get anticipatory anxiety. I can cite as an example the case of businessman who made donations to social institutions, and when he made donation, naturally he was called on the stage. They had to force him to the stage and he walked, looked down, and then he sat and spent the whole hour not raising his head. I asked him, suppose you don't have to say anything and you don't have to perform. He said, even then the situation is the same. Just the thought of all the people looking at me and what they are thinking about me, that itself is enough. So Cilicia is not as much bothered about the capacity for action as he is bothered about what other people think about his image, especially about whether his image is going to remain intact or not only with other people but with himself. That is why you find Cilicia in the rubric egotism, concerns about the trifles, and timidity when appear in public. Now, under label Ambra is embraced. Here I would want to differentiate Cilicia from another remedy which is very close. This remedy is Ambra gracia. Ambra gracia and Cilicia, carbovage and plumbum and chalcedon are the main remedy in the rubric timidity when appearing in public. The main idea of Ambra gracia is tremendous sense of embarrassment. And remember that there is an element of all remedies in all of us. We have all felt embarrassment at some time or other, but Ambra gracia feels it is intensely. He is very conscious, acute conscious of slightest things he does. The embarrassment is more when it comes to personal habit like passing stool and urine. One constipated patient, when asked if he used anything made of aluminum said, no sir, no aluminum, all steel. The next time he came, he bought a paper wrapped object. It was an aluminum mug. He said, I use it in my toilet, is it okay? The mug he used to clean his bowel was right on my table. It is the opposite of Ambra gracia, who at any mention of stool, urine, or belching is acutely embarrassed. This is the symptom. Company aversion to presence of stranger, people intolerable to her during a stool. I think this is true for most of us. I don't recall have any seen anybody sending out an invitation that I am going to pass a stool. I request the pleasure of your company and company with the family and friends. So what is the meaning of these symptoms? Some say if the Ambra gracia patient is immobile and in the ward of an hospital, he will find it difficult to pass stool in the presence of others. Does this mean that we have to wait until the Ambra gracia patient is in the hospital before we can prescribe for him? What this symptom suggests, cannot pass stool in the presence of others means is that he cannot even have somebody in the next room when he is passing the stool. It means that is the sound he makes in the toilet embarrasses him so much that he cannot bear the thought of somebody standing in the next room and hearing him. He has to clear the whole house before he passes stools. He has to see that there is nobody around her. This is the kind of embarrassment. Ambra gracia cannot bear the thought of going to somebody else's house. He is afraid he may get an urge for stool, but he is not going to do such things at others' house. There is a rubric anxiety from ineffectual desire for stool. When he gets the urge for stool, he gets anxious. That is the kind of anticipatory anxiety that apraxia has. It is quite close in some respect of Barata Karp. Both have a timidity, bashful and stranger presence of aggravates. But apraxia has this very acute embarrassment feeling which Barata Karp does not have. And Barata Karp has a tremendous irresolutions which represent a feeling of lack of capacity which apraxia does not have. Now, soranum has a despair. Under label, soranum has a despair. Another remedy that comes very close to medorinum in the fear of misfortune, which causes anticipatory anxiety, is soranum. In soranum, the feeling of misfortune is associated with the despair. In medorinum, it is an internal feeling as if something bad is going to happen, which make him anxious, hurried, impatient, and restless. In soranum, the feeling is whatever I do, it is certain to be a failure. He feels that nobody likes him and he is sad, anxious and depressed. There is an absolute despair. Further, you do not find the restlessness of medorinum in soranum. Now under the label, two types of mental symptoms. From the above, we can see that the mental symptoms are of two types. Basic parameter that combination. Example of basic parameter: clairvoyance, fear, anger. Example of combination is predict the time of death, complete desire, yet treat them outrageously. Expression of the parameter or their combination. Example: anticipation element from is a rubric when you can see remedy coming in for different reason and under different circumstances. This rubric does not represent basic feeling or parameter, but is a common expression to different component. We can also ask, why does person have anticipatory anxiety, and find a satisfactory explanation. For example, we said lycopodium has anticipatory anxiety because of lack of self-confidence. If the lycopodium did not have lack of self-confidence, he would not have any anticipatory anxiety. So anticipatory anxiety in lycopodium is only an expression of a completely explained by one of its basic parameter, like lack of self-confidence. Similarly, we see other remedy come into this rubric for different reason. For example, Baratakar has an anticipatory anxiety because of feeling of incapacity. Apraxia has an anticipatory anxiety because of an embarrassed feeling. Medorinum has an anticipatory anxiety because of fear of misfortune. And Staphysagria has an anticipation because of sensitivity to hurt. Hence, element from anticipation is neither a basic parameter nor a combination of parameter, but it is an expression of this. Basic parameter can be found again and again, but the expression may not be always be found. And even if they are found, they differ from person to person. Now under the label, difference between basic parameter and expression. Difference between basic parameter and expression. If I ask you to name an object which is cold, hard and colorless, you will immediately say ice. If I ask you why it cannot be a glass kept in the freeze, you may be puzzled for a while, but soon you will say a glass is not cold unconditionally. It is cold only when it is kept in a freezer. We can see that the basic parameter of ice are coldness, hardness and colorless. These are the unchanging. Even in the hot room, ice will remain cold. Coldness is thus its intrinsic quality, and whereas for the glass, coldness is not the basic parameter. So we can see that basic parameters are unconditionally present. They cannot change and cannot be explained. Expression are conditional, and like glass of the coldness of the glass, and an object is more readily identified by the basic parameter. Now under label, how to differentiate. In order to determine whether symptoms is a basic parameter or it is a expression. Keep on asking the question, why does this symptom exist? If we get an answer to this which is completely satisfactory, then it is the expression. We have to question the expression too by asking the above questions again and again until we come to a point of which there is no satisfactory answer. That will the basic parameter, and whatever the patient had said before will be the expression. For example, if a patient says, I like company, we must ask him why it is. If he say, I don't know why, but I just like company, then we have reached his basic parameter, namely desire for company. But if he say, because I am frightened of being alone, then we have to ask again why. He may say he does not know, in which case his basic parameter is fear of being alone. He could also say, I am afraid of being alone because I am frightened, I may get a heart attack and die. Then this basic parameter would be fear of impending disease and fear of being alone. Now under the label, search for basic parameter. It is the basic and innermost feeling we must search for and not limit ourselves to their expression. If you are sure that these basic parameters are found in the remedy, you can prescribe it, even if it does not have any precise expression of patient. Just see how many addition of remedy have been made to the rubric ailment from anticipation in the synthetic repertory. Before this repertory came to our hands, we would have missed so many remedies if we had taken the symptom as eliminating and not prescribing on the basis of parameter. From the given example, you would have observed how useful it is to split up the rubric ailment from into basic component. For example, ailment from death, parents or friends of, could mean fright, guilt, or a combination of these. We must carefully consider what the patient say, ask him why again and again until we are able to accurately analyze the component. Basic under the label, basic parameter are proving symptom. Basic parameters are often proving symptom. It will be difficult to add to the list of drugs for this parameter unless more drugs are proved. Expression are often clinical symptom, and so the list of drug for each of them can grow with the clinical experience. It is therefore safer to rely on basic parameter using expression only for confirmation. For example, jealousy is basic parameter and its own expression may be the sarcasm. In proving this expression like sarcasm of the remedy which has jealousy may not yet be known. In the repertory, many rubrics contain remedy for which the symptom is basic and also remedies in which the symptom is an expression of more basic feeling. What we have to remember is that the remedy for whom that feeling is basic are more certain to be included in the rubric than those remedy for whom that symptom is merely an expression of another basic feelings. Now under the label, basic feelings are more reliable. In practical terms, we select the rubric which represents the expression. We are likely to miss the remedy, but if we select the rubric that represents the basic feeling of the patient, is unlikely that we will miss it. Most of the addition of Gallivardian to the synthetic repertory are expression and do not represent basic feeling. For example, revolutionary, in Mercurius it mentions, or the addition of the somewhat large rubric like adulterous. In proving, due to acuteness of the effect, basic parameters such as fear and anger stand out clearly and sharply and are recorded as such even before the prover has the opportunity to find various expression for those feelings. Now under the label, master the component. Components are like a letter in a word. Individually, they mean little, but together make sense. Together they make sense. Initially, we have to spell out the letter division of symptom into the component, but later it become a quick, unconscious and automatic. We cannot reach this state unless we pass through the stage of spelling out the letter. If you can see it, each thought, each act, each pastime, each profession, each gesture, and indeed every single thing is constructed out of component like letter in a word. Now under the label, the component idea in practice. One of my favorite early example was the observation that Aurum Metallicum patient like to hear a bhajan. Bhajans are Indian religious songs which are sung with an exact meter and with a lot of devotion. Person who like listening to bhajans have three component quality like religious affection, music ameliorated, and exactness. These three in combination are found only in Aurum Metallicum, and Aurum patients are almost the only people I have found to be marked ameliorated from the hearing bhajans. Another observation is of children who, whenever they see a dog or cat, pick up a stone and throw it at the animal. This can be possibly only if the children have the following three components: fear of dog or cat, destructiveness, and impulse to throw things. These combinations can only be found in the tuberculum, and I have invariably found these children to require tuberculum. Let us take the symptom jesting, fun of somebody making. This symptom has a number of components, namely, the person is witty, one has to be mischievous to make fun of somebody. This is an element of pride and contempt for others. It may be a feeling of jealousy which incline a person to make fun of others. Loquacity is also a trait in one who try to jest at the expense of others. One has also to be quick-witted, quick to act. This component clearly characterizes the lachesis. Hyosomus is jealousy. Hyosomus is jealous and mischievous, but not witty, not quick to act. Kophia is jealous and witty, as well as quick to act, but not mischievous. Now under the label, analyzing a symptom into the component. Here is an illustrative case from my colleague Dr. Jayesh Shah, who has been utilized this idea in practice. A girl of 9 developed a symptom of diarrhea accompanied with a severe headache. The diarrhea was somehow brought under the control with allopathic medicine, but the headache did not respond even to heavy dose of painkiller. Just observe something funny in this case. The child was painting frantically, producing a picture after a picture. She was painting for a 14 to 16 hour day during the severe pain and at the very rapid pace. She said painting was the only activity she liked. Jayesh tried to study the symptom in her various books, but desire for painting could not be found anywhere. Firstly, he felt it could be taken as ameliorated when busy. He wanted to confirm this and so asked whether any other activity would give relief to this. She said no. Then he thought maybe it has to do with the physical activity involving movement of her hand. He asked if writing or knitting gave any relief, and the girl said she had tried knitting without relief. Finally, he asked her if drawing with a pencil afforded any relief, and once again he got a negative reply. So what exactly was this painting doing to her? Jayesh then realized that each picture she had drawn was in a bright color. So he questioned her about the reaction to color, and she said she liked them very much. That is when the component idea came to his help. He reasoned that painting must be the combination of some features, and if he could split it up into the component, then he might find the remedy. Painting, he reasoned, is combination of three components: busy mind, busy hand, and colors. So he looked at the following rubrics: mind in the mind sections, mind busy, synthetic repertory, industrious, hurry, mind color charmed by, activity restlessness of hand. From these he came to the remedy tarantula hispanica. Going on from this, he came to the remedy Tarantula hispanica. On going through Fatak's Materia Medica, Jayesh found that the Tarantula hispanica not only has a must keep hand busy and is sensitive to color, but also has a violent crushing headache as accompanied to other symptoms. These are called the synalgic pain. Tarantula hispanica give prompt relief. Here is another simple example describing their 8-year-old son. His parents gave a typical example of his behavior, then said that just the previous day he looked out of the balcony of their second floor apartment and showed that on the first floor a boy was leaning out of his balcony with his hand jutting out. Our patient just picked up a pebble and dropped it on the head of the boy below him and vanished. This one typical description of the boy can be reduced to the following component: mischievousness, destructiveness, cunning, restlessness, fidgety, throw things away. From this, we can see that the remedy Tarantula hispanica and again Tarantula hispanica help the case.